The story begins with a Japanese man who chooses to live in South Korea. He arrives in Gokseong, a small remote village nestled in the Korean mountains, and settles in a secluded house deep within the forest. The scene then shifts to focus on the main family of the film, a local policeman named Jong-gu, who lives in the same village with his wife, his mother-in-law, and his young daughter, Hyojin. The Japanese man lives not far from them, close to the edge of the woods. One day, a gruesome murder occurs in the village. A family is found dead, killed by one of their own, a man named Hwang-guk. He acts deranged, as if possessed, and his entire body is covered in oozing, infected wounds. The horrifying scene leaves Jong-gu confused and disturbed. He can't understand the motive behind such a violent crime. At the police station, Jong-gu's colleague, Oh Seong-bok, shares alarming news. There have been multiple family murders in the area, and in every case, the murderer appears to have gone insane. He also tells Jong-gu about a hunter who once went into the woods and claimed to have seen the Japanese man crouched over a dead deer, eating its flesh raw. When the hunter made eye contact, the man, wearing only underwear and with glowing red eyes, chased after him. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of a naked woman standing outside the police station in the pouring rain. When the officers go out to check, the woman is already gone. The following day, a house in the village catches fire. A woman, presumed to be the owner of the house, goes berserk outside and violently attacks the responding officers. While at the scene, Jong-gu notices a man he's never seen before, the Japanese stranger, watching silently from a distance. His intense stare sends a chill down Jong-gu's spine. He soon realizes the woman who went mad is the same one who appeared naked at the station the night before. The next day, her body is found hanging from a tree near the road. Investigators later conclude that the fire didn't cause the deaths inside the house. The victims had been murdered before the fire, and the woman was the killer. One of Jong-gu's acquaintances also reveals disturbing rumors. The woman who hanged herself had allegedly been assaulted by the Japanese man. Since then, she had been seen wandering the village naked at night, her body covered in infected wounds. Her mind had slowly unraveled. Jong-gu becomes increasingly disturbed by the string of bizarre and tragic events occurring in his village. One day, while investigating the burned house alone, he encounters a strange young woman named Moo Myong, who mysteriously appears and tells him the Japanese stranger is actually a ghost, and the one behind everything. Jong-gu quickly steps outside to call Seong-bok, urging him to come immediately because he has found a witness. But when he returns inside, the woman has vanished. The next morning, Jong-gu sees that his daughter Hyojin is sick and refuses to go to school. He heads to the station and meets with Seong-bok to follow up on the Japanese man's trail. They decide to find the hunter Seong-bok mentioned earlier. The hunter recounts everything he saw and takes them into the forest, where they discover a decomposing deer carcass at a site believed to be the stranger's place of worship. As they investigate further, a storm breaks out. Lightning suddenly strikes, and the hunter is severely injured. He is rushed to the hospital but dies shortly after. At that same hospital, another shocking development occurs. The man Hwang-guk, who murdered his family earlier, is also found dead under horrifying circumstances. Back at home, Jong-gu begins to notice strange changes in Hyojin's behavior. She wakes up from nightmares and eats in an unusual, almost animalistic way. Her grandmother becomes worried and tells Jong-gu that something is seriously wrong with the girl. She insists they contact a respected shaman for help. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Jong-gu teams up with Seong-bok and decides to investigate further. They bring along Seong-bok's nephew, Yang I-sam, who speaks Japanese and can translate for them. Together, they visit the Japanese man's house but find that he is not there. Seeing this as an opportunity, they begin searching the home. Inside a small room, Seong-bok finds photographs and personal belongings of several villagers who had been killed. Meanwhile, Jong-gu discovers a ritual altar, confirming their suspicions. Suddenly, the man's guard dog, which was chained outside, breaks free and begins to attack them. The barking stops the moment the Japanese man returns. Realizing they've trespassed and possibly ruined evidence, the group decides to leave. On the way back, Seongbok quietly tells Jong-gu something chilling. He found one of Hyojin's shoes inside the house. Shocked and alarmed, Jong-gu rushes home and immediately questions his daughter about the Japanese man and her missing shoe. Hyojin admits she knows about the man but refuses to say where or when they met. Her behavior becomes more hostile, and she lashes out at her father in a way he's never seen before. That night, while Hyojin is asleep, Jong-gu checks her notebook and finds disturbing drawings, images that suggest something terrible has happened to her. Jong-gu notices that Hyojin's body is now covered in sores and infected wounds, much like those seen on other villagers who went mad. His mother-in-law tells him she met a shaman who said Hyojin is possessed by an evil spirit and needs immediate spiritual treatment. Enraged and desperate, Jong-gu returns to the Japanese man's house, only to discover that the photos of the dead villagers have been removed. In a fit of anger, he destroys the man's ritual space. He kills the guard dog when it attacks him and confronts the Japanese man, threatening to kill him if he doesn't leave the village. Jong-gu ends up hospitalized due to his injuries from the fight with the dog. As he wakes up, his first question is, "Where is my daughter?" His mother-in-law says she left Hyojin in the care of a neighbor. Alarmed, Jong-gu rushes home, only to find that Hyojin has stabbed their neighbor with a knife. With Hyojin's condition worsening, the family calls in a powerful shaman named Il-gwang. After performing a brief examination, Il-gwang confirms that Hyojin is possessed by a malevolent spirit. He begins a ritual of exorcism, but the process fails. Il-gwang tells Jong-gu that he has interfered with something he should not have. He claims that the Japanese man is not human but a demon in disguise. He prepares to conduct a stronger ritual to combat the evil. Il-gwang warns Jong-gu not to interrupt the ritual under any circumstances. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, the Japanese man performs a dark ritual of his own, using a diseased corpse and offerings of raw meat and chickens. As night falls, the two rituals are carried out simultaneously, Il-gwang at Jong-gu's house and the Japanese man in his home. As Il-gwang intensifies the ritual, Hyojin writhes in unimaginable pain, screaming and begging them to stop. Unable to watch his daughter suffer, Jong-gu halts the ceremony and rushes to take her to the hospital. At the same moment, the Japanese man collapses in agony during his own ritual. But once Il-gwang's ritual is interrupted, the Japanese man recovers. Outside his house, he sees Moo Myung, the mysterious woman who earlier warned Jong-gu, staring silently at him. The next morning, he runs into the forest to retrieve the diseased corpse, but it has vanished. Jong-gu gathers his friends and heads to the Japanese man's house. They find only a photograph of a local resident who was later found dead. As they search outside, they are suddenly attacked by the reanimated corpse of the man in the photo. Covered in festering wounds, the corpse wounds Yang E-sam. Moments later, Yang freezes and collapses, dead. From a distance, they spot the Japanese man watching them. As soon as he realizes he's been seen, he runs. Jong-gu and his team chase him, but lose him at the cliff's edge. The man hides and watches as Moo Myung stares back at him from afar. Exhausted and empty-handed, Jong-gu and the others descend the mountain. Suddenly, the Japanese man falls onto the windshield of their vehicle. They believe he's finally dead. They toss his body over the cliffside. Moo Myung watches them quietly from the ridge above. Back at home, Jong-gu finds that Hyojin's condition seems to be improving, but soon Yang I-sam is contacted by police. His uncle, Oh Seongbok, has murdered his own mother and is believed to be infected. At the same time, Il-gwang is on his way to Jong-gu's house. On the road, he encounters Moo Myung and suddenly begins vomiting blood. Terrified, he flees town but then decides to turn back. On his return, Il-gwang calls Jong-gu and confesses he made a mistake. He now believes that Moo Myung is the true demon, and the Japanese man is actually a fellow shaman who came to the village to stop her. Jong-gu rushes home and discovers Hyojin has gone missing. In the woods, he meets Moo Myung. She tells him the Japanese man is still alive and that she has set a trap for him. But the trap will only work if Jong-gu does not return home until the rooster crows 3 times. If he enters his house before then, the spell will break, and Hyojin will kill everyone in the house. Il-gwang then calls Jong-gu, warning him not to trust Moo Myung. He says he's on his way to protect Jong-gu's family. Moo Myung, in turn, tells Jong-gu not to trust Il-gwang, claiming that he is actually a servant of the demon. Caught between two opposing truths, Jong-gu demands to know, are you human or a ghost? Moon-myung tells him to trust her for his family's sake and pleads with him to stay away from home. But Jong-gu notices something disturbing. On the ground near her, he finds personal items belonging to the victims, including Hyojin's hairpin, buried beneath the soil. Overwhelmed by doubt, he concludes that Moon-myung is the true evil. Ignoring her warning, he returns home before the third crow of the rooster. As he crosses the threshold of his house, the flower talismans Moon-myung had laid out wither and die. Elsewhere, disturbed by his uncle's behavior and unsure whether the Japanese man is truly dead, Yang I-sam returns to the man's house, armed with a sickle and a cross. Near the home, he finds rotten fruit and eventually comes face to face with the Japanese man, still alive. Yang I-sam demands to know the man's true form. The man simply responds with a question. "What do you think I am?" Yang answers honestly, "I think you're a demon, but if I'm wrong, I'll leave peacefully." The man chuckles and replies, "Then I won't let you leave." He takes a photograph of Yang and mockingly says, "Why do you hesitate?" As Yang watches in horror, the Japanese man begins to transform, slowly revealing his true demonic form. Back at Jong-gu's home, the nightmare reaches its climax. He arrives to find his entire family slaughtered. Hyojin, now fully possessed, stands amid the bloodshed. He calls out to her, collapsing from grief and weakness. She does not respond. Outside, Moon-myung sits in silence, defeated and devastated, having failed to protect the villagers. Il-gwang finally arrives, collecting photographs of the dead, including Jong-gu's family. As he returns to his car, he accidentally drops a box filled with photos. Photos the Japanese man once claimed to have burned. The box bursts open, revealing countless faces of those who died. Inside the house, Jong-gu sits broken, consumed by guilt and despair. As he clutches his family's belongings, he flashes back to a time when Hyojin was smiling, full of life. A faint smile forms on his face, and in that fleeting moment of memory, he whispers a promise to her that he'll always protect her.
If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing, you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.